Loki finds out about the death of his idol Xebec. This is like if Luffy found out Shanks died as a kid. Bro is bawling his eyes out as he remembers their time together. Rocks tells him once again that Loki is too weak to join his crew. The guy he actually wants to join, Harold, isn't giving him the time of day. Instead, his weak-ass son does. All of a sudden, Loki calls Rocks Nika, the warrior of liberation that will destroy the world, laughing. Rocks just says that he's aiming to be the king of the world instead. If anyone who would have that kind of destructive power, though, is King Harold, which is a hint that Luffy's Nika fruit might have just been the legendary fruit stolen from Elbaf, which Harold was supposed to eat to help Xebec. Or it is referring to the soul god fruit that can also destroy the world, who is Emu, by shining a light at the devil's trickery, because its heat can also be used to melt the ice of the Galera company, which Rocks thinks Harold can do. But instead, in the future, it's Loki who will eat Elbaf's legendary fruit. That is how he will melt the ice on the Galera company that were frozen in Punk Hazard, sail the Pluton by controlling it with the special serpent eyes, and help destroy the Red Line in the final war. If Rocks and Harold teamed up, nothing could stop them. However, Harold doesn't want to join because of love. The love for his country and the love he feels for all humans. Harold doesn't want to take the world through violence. However, even after half a century of trying to appease the world government, Harold and the Giants are still portrayed in the newspapers as savages and backward. This is despite the fact that no human civilians were harmed, and despite the Giants going out of their way to coexist peacefully. Harold gets labeled as a hooligan simply for getting angry at another giant who was stealing from humans. Bro was literally doing the government's job by catching a thief, yet he's the one framed as the threat. That's the irony here, that Oda is trying to showcase the flaw in Harold's philosophy. The one random giant who was looting ends up lowering the chances of freedom for all giants. The world government already wants to control them for its own benefit, to weaponize this single incident and use it as a narrative to smear an entire race as criminals. It is the same pattern we see in real life. A small isolated event happens, like the bizarre Poof Festival clip from India, but the elites who control algorithms and media push it in a way that makes it seem like an entire culture behaves that way. For their own people, the Celestials will always find nuance, context, and empathy, but for any groups deemed the other, the ones they want to only extract from, they turn an anomaly into a stereotype, basically turning a mistake of a few into the identity of the many. That is how people like Emu maintain control, by shaping narratives that turn individuals into symbols and symbols into excuses for oppression. If we don't control the Giants, they might crash out and destroy everything. Remember when Harold just randomly started beating up his own kind? How can we trust these people who likely have subhuman IQ to coexist with us pure big brain humans? Sadly for Harold, he is so kind and understanding that he doesn't realize the government will never accept them unless they fight for it. Instead, they will just get suppressed over and over again. Then they will only take from the Giants. Harold's delusion or stupidity or even naivety is so tragic that he learned the wrong lesson from his friend Xebec's death. Instead of using this event to learn that the world government doesn't give a shit about how many less giants have stolen in the last 50 years and only cares about the one giant who did steal and labels the entire race as defined by that crime, bro. Harold says that there is no turning back now. He sails into Marineford, where he isn't even allowed to land. Instead of fighting these government bums for their rights, Harold begs them to listen to him. He breaks his horns to atone for the sins of the past 1,000 years of all giants. One day, he wants the people of Elbaf to be accepted by the world again. The world represented by the government. In Harold's eyes, the world government is the will of humanity. He doesn't know that the world is actually Emu, who only views him as a weapon. Bro even says he will become a slave if Elbaf can join the rest of the world. He gives up his honor, pride, everything for recognition they never plan on giving him. Emu, however, will use this chance to extract and assert even more influence on Elbaf. Holy, yo, wait, hold on. I just realized something, yeah? You know how Harold just made his way to Marineford? Garp gave Dragon the key. Dragon is being held in Marineford in like the basement prison or whatever, right? So when Dragon escapes, how is he gonna get out of Marineford? By getting on Harold's ship. So Dragon might literally go to Elbaf and train in Elbaf. And Loki's gonna be like, oh my god, you're Monkey D. Luffy? You're Monkey D. Dragon's son? Oh my god, like I never won a battle against Monkey D. Dragon. We trained together in Elbaf like 30 years ago, bro. Imagine that happens. And we learned that Dragon is the strongest in all of One Piece. Crazy stuff, right? Yo, you know what else was crazy? I went to this One Piece exhibit thing in New York last week. I was on vacation. It was so cool. I saw like Momonosuke. I saw like Wano, like Luffy versus Kaido on like a big ass screen. I hear all some of the pictures. Like it was so cool. It was epic. All right, thank you so much for watching. I'll see you guys next time.